Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to answer a very simple question. How often should you change programs? It's something that comes back a lot in my comments because I do a lot of program reviews, because this channel is focused a lot on programming, as I personally believe that this is the true path for natural lifters to keep progressing forever. You need to understand programming, and once you do, the limits just stop existing. But a lot of people will also tell themselves, hey, if I don't make any progress, it might be the program, because most of, and I say most of, but in reality, all of the muscle gains you're gonna make come from what you do in the gym. And it brings some anxiety in certain people who think I might be wasting my time with a poorly crafted program, or I could be making better gains elsewhere. It's something that I cannot repeat enough, but I need to let you know your mindset and the intensity you put into the training is more important than the training itself to an extent, meaning that it becomes less true the more you advance, because people who advance very far in natural bodybuilding have the mindset. So it's just a given that it's not going to be a valuable because they got it. For novices, it is 100% true, meaning that you can have the best crafted novice program exactly tailored to your needs with the best gym in the world and the best equipment. A guy that trains in a park and does chin-ups and push-ups but actually does the training and he goes hard is going to outgain you. He's going to make better progress just by virtue of you not putting in the work. So I'm going to assume that the people who ask me these questions actually try hard. They work on their recovery, they eat enough, they sleep enough, and they do everything the program says. If you take stuff out of the program and you don't get results, you cannot complain because you modified a program. And you might think that you just took away 20%, but it might be those 20% that put the 80% other together. So you need to follow the program to a T. Now that's being established. When exactly do you change the program? When do you say, okay, I personally am doing everything I can, but the program is limiting me? Well, you do that first off if the program has limiting factors in it. Meaning what? Meaning that a program can stop yielding results for several different factors. It can be because you become unable to progress on it, but it's not the only one. You also have the fact that some programs don't have enough sets and reps manipulation in them to allow you to push the volume, for example. That could be something that is going to slow down progress. It can also be that the exercise selection of the program just does not work anymore. Maybe it's too much of certain things and not enough of other movement patterns, for example. All of these are valid reasons to switch programs, in my opinion. But if you're going to do that, you need to also have the ability to reflect upon yourself and think, okay, I'm the one who selected that program in the first place. It failed to give me the results I wanted, and now I'm jumping off of it. What can I learn from this to make sure that the next program I select is not going to repeat the mistakes I made? Because at the end of the day, you select the program. And I understand that novices, people who don't know better, they just go on the internet and they pick the program that people tell them to follow, right? I get that. It's also the point of this channel, to help them to think for yourself and to understand programming enough that you're able to tell when something is not going to work. As far as the levels of competency that you're going to enter and how much time you should spend following programs on each of them, naturally you're going to think to yourself that you're going to spend the least amount of time on your novice program. Why? Because it's an introduction to lifting. And then the intermediate might be a bit longer, and then the advanced might take years. That's true. There are certain things that I want to precise though, because I disagree with the culture surrounding some of the notions surrounding the time you should be spending on a program. For example, novice programs, in my opinion, for the vast majority, are too quick, meaning that they're like a 4 weeks program, or they want you to graduate from them as soon as possible, which also means that they try to make you as strong as possible too fast, in my opinion. And the issue with that is that it then puts you into what we could call transition programs or intermediate programs that they themselves will not have the ability to help you move on to. Too many novice programs don't make you do enough volume. I will make a video covering novice programs and explaining what I personally think they should be doing instead of what they're doing now. But what I mean by that is novice programs shouldn't be just a one shot. You should need some time on them. You should spend some time on them. Why? Because they're what builds the base, and you want the base to be as wide and solid as possible. So I would actually advise to double the amount of times that most people tell you to spend on novice programs, because you don't have a train to take, right? There's no deadline, especially for novices, because once you're out of the novice phase, you'll never be a novice again. Because of muscular memory, you'll never get back to the weakness that you had then, right? So that period of time where you discover lifting and you're excited, I think you should enjoy it. So just from a purely hobbyist perspective, spend more time with your novice program, right? Play with it, modify it. Just because the program says, oh, you need to do that rep range, who decided that that was just set in stone? Play around with it, modify it. Maybe even if you do something stupid, even if you do something that is less optimal, who cares? You're learning how to program, and the best way to do that is to actually play around with a template, a skeleton of a program that has already proven that it was able to make you progress. So that is my idea for novices who tell me, how much should I change programs? The answer is never and all the time, meaning that never you're going to hopefully want to stick with one novice program, but all the time, because you should make modifications to that program. And the program that you'll have at the end of the novice phase is going to look pretty much very similar to what you will want to follow as an intermediate, because the modifications you'll have made to the novice programs will reflect what you're interested in. And I made a video about that on when you are intermediate, in my opinion. So now we're entering the realm of intermediates, which most people on YouTube Fitness are, or at least the people who are actually interested, because 95% of people on YouTube Fitness are beginners, novices, but they never really transition to intermediates because they give up first or they lose interest. So if you're part of that population, and I think that's the population that my channel is mostly made of, intermediates. Intermediates for me are people who know what they want, meaning that they're training for a goal, be it strength, hypertrophy, strongman, whatever you want to do, and they have a clear idea of what they want their body to look like, for people who are pursuing aesthetics. For these people, and usually these people are the ones who ask me how many times I should change programs, I think that you should do your best to stick with a program as long as possible. Unless your goals change radically, the idea is to start crafting your own program, right? And I know that there's a plethora of intermediate programs out there. I'm not saying don't follow them, but I am saying as you follow them, you should have a blank space on the side, and you should be taking notes. Take notes of what you like in certain programs and what you don't like. Take notes of your favorite movement patterns. Take notes of the frequency that your body likes. Take notes of the movements that just don't agree with you. Take notes of the ones that actually help you rehab. All of that is key information, because you're basically drawing a map of your body. And that map of the body is going to help you craft what I think is going to be the best program you can follow, because no one knows you better than you. So once you've accumulated the knowledge from the other programs, you are going to be in possession of something that is going to lead you to the program that is going to either help you transition into advanced training or make you advanced. Now, how much time should you spend on these programs that you're using to write that? I would advise you to stay on them as long as they will progress. And now we're getting into a discussion of what constitutes a genius. A genius for me is someone who will be making progress for a very long time on a program that is technically not supposed to be able to provide that. A lot of intermediate programs are not super flexible, meaning that they are not built to last you a super long time. And if they are, usually they are more like ideas than programs. For example, 531, it's not really a program, it's an idea. It's an application of volume and intensity. I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm just saying that for me, a program is something that clearly stipulates the the reps and sets, clearly stipulates the exercises, etc. And on these programs, you're eventually going to stall. Why? Because they don't offer you the ability to manipulate enough of the volume and intensity to fit your exact needs, because it doesn't know your exact needs. And I need to say that and put it out there because I want you to understand that I'm not saying that those programs are bad. They do what they're supposed to do, meaning that they are built and crafted so that they can actually help the majority of the population, train on them, and make progress. And of course, in a perfect world, there would be 10,000s of programs, and every single one of them would be crafted with a specific individual in mind. But the issue is that people who make programs, they make it for themselves, or they make it for an idea of a lifter, but they don't know who you are, so they're not going to be perfect. This is also why I need to say that you don't need to be faithful to a program. It's not a religion. I see people do that too much, where they will have seen someone else get great gains from the program or the template or the doctrine, or the person who created the program is someone they respect, and they'll jump on that program and it'll be their life. They'll keep doing it even if they stop making progress, and even if they get injured, they'll never blame the program or the frequency of the exercise selection. They'll always stay faithful to that program. A program is a tool. It's something that helps you progress. It tells you what you're supposed to do to get that muscle gain. If it stops doing that and you know for a fact that you've done everything you could, time to move on. That's when you change programs. A perfect program is something that is going to be extremely flexible and offer enough options so that you never have to change it. That, in my opinion, only you can write, and it's going to be the one that you're going to create with all the information. If you can manage to have that program completed when you're still an intermediate, you're in good hands. Some people will have to wait until they're advanced. Usually, and that might be counterintuitive, the people who are going to be able to complete that program only when they're advanced are people who are very gifted. Why? Because they'll have progressed so fast that they wouldn't even have time to relearn about themselves. I personally jumped on my current program that I wrote when I was still an intermediate. And in many aspects of my lifts, I'm still an intermediate. So it's going to depend on who you are too. Keep that in mind when you decide if you want to change a program or not. And don't follow people who are more gifted than you, is what I mean. I know people who've been on the same program for years, they still make great progress. When I look at their program, I want to cry because it's the most minimalistic, low volume and intensity manipulation thing that you could potentially imagine, but they still progress on it. Why? They're gifted. Would these people make better gains with a more flexible program? Maybe, but at the end of the day, who cares? Progression is progression. They don't need that, right? They will eventually need that. You can see that with very advanced bodybuilders or powerlifters. At some point, when you want to squeeze those extra gains, you're going to have to put in the work. But for people who are average, like I am, or below average, getting that flexibility and ability to control the program as soon as possible and understanding the variables as early as you can in your training career is key. So that is one moment of that lifting career that you're going to enter, that you're going to be changing programs the least amount of times. So basically, as a novice, you should stick to one program and make modifications. As an intermediate, it might be the period of time where you switch programs the most, but that's okay because you're trying to find yourself. You're trying to really definitely understand what you want. And then once you have that program ready, that program should last you a very long time. Why? One, because you're going to, just like when you were a novice, make modifications to it, but also because if you did a good job, it should provide enough of different rep ranges, enough of an exercise selection, maybe some variation on or rotation of lifts, that you're going to be able to progress on it for a while. The program I'm on right now, I've been on it for close to 2 years. It's still providing great progress. I'm still making good gains on it. I have no need to change it. Of course, it's also because I am perfectly fine with following the same program. I need to say that people who ask me how many times I should change programs, but who change programs because they get bored of it, I don't know what to tell you. I made videos about people who are high change personality types, so it might help you. But for me, if a program still helps you progress, you should never stop doing it. Because why? The goal is progression. If it's there, there's no need to change anything. Keep doing it. So that's that. And then we're getting into the last portion, the portion that you're going to be for the rest of your life, basically of advanced or expert lifter, where you're pretty much staying with the same program for the rest of your life, right? Because this is the point where you understand the type of frequency you like, so the template in itself is not going to change much. The only thing that could change is that you're going to replace some lifts by others, but the movement patterns are never going to change because there's only a set amount of them. So what you're essentially going to do is you're going to suck the bone marrow out of the skeleton of the program, but the skeleton in itself doesn't change, and you're going to inject a different substance inside it. But the template in itself will be with you for the rest of your life. And some people don't necessarily like that idea, but it is what it is, because once you find what works, why would you try and change it? You won't have to, and if you tried, you might just end up with an inferior version of the program. So in my opinion, that answers the question, how many times should I change programs? How often should I change programs? The definite, for me, answer to that question is as little as possible, but without impairing your ability to progress when a program stops doing that for you. So that is going to be it for the day. Any questions or opinions in the comments are always welcome. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.